Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel to another episode of KT Time, episode 12 of 2021. Right, so today we do have a ton of things to discuss, and also later on today we hopefully do have the update that drops live, so we should have a very busy day. Now KT Time was scheduled for yesterday, but unfortunately didn't quite pan out that way, therefore we're trying to compensate for it by doing it right now. Now, as always, during KT time, all chat messages are read, but majority of them are not getting replied. And let me introduce my co-host before we move to the first topic. So, hello, Mandalorian.
Hello, and hello, everybody. My apologies for yesterday. I'm the reason we weren't able to do KT time yesterday, but we're doing it early this morning, so I woke up extra early. It's 9 a.m. for me. So I'm cracking open an energy drink to make sure I stay awake, alive for this very special, extra long KT time.
Right, so why don't you get us started into the first point of discussion as well?
For sure. So basically, the first thing we're going to talk about today is a lot of the drama surrounding Realm of Champions. This is the second time that two consecutive Aprils now, if everyone didn't know, that we've had Marvel Realm of Champions added to MCOC. So April last year it started where we had both Sorcerer Supreme and Storm Pyramid X, which are Marvel Realm of Champions. It's Kabam's other game, and for those that don't know, it's basically like a PvP 3 on or 2 on. I don't even know how many people. I think it's like 2 or 3 on.
I think it's 3 on 3.
3 on 3, okay, so it's 3 on 3, and you gotta like it's like a isometric top-down angled view, and you're going against fighting like another team and nodes. It's kind of like if people ever play Dota or other types of MMO RPG type games, a little bit like that. But it's not good at all. It did not take off. It launched last year. I think I did a pre-launch the year prior in late 2019. It launched officially in 2020, I believe. World round. It's made by Kabam. It's known for having a lot of monetization around not so much just characters, but also parts you can place on characters and such. So like like Spider-Man can have a different web shooter or armor or something on his chest or something that gives some other benefit. Basically, it's
different game.
It's
same
a completely different game. Yeah, it does use very similar controls from what I've seen. Like, you do the heavy attacks, the medium attacks, the light attacks the same, all that. I've never been one to play it, but I have seen some screenshots. Anyway, long story short, we're a year past when they first released their first champions, which weren't too bad. I mean, Sorcerer Supreme is arguably considered a really good champion in the Mystic class.
I'm not speaking. We're not speaking here about the quality though, because for instance, Sorcerer Supreme could have very easily been Doctor Strange with Sorcerer Supreme skin or whatever. Like,
correct.
The abilities of this conversation need to be completely taken outside. If you like Storm Pyramid X and Sorcerer Supreme, that's perfect. I do too. I actually like both of them as champions, but it has nothing to do with who these are as champions. It has to do with the character itself.
Yeah, it has, that's what I was trying to get to. So while we like those champions, they're directly from Marvel Realm of Champions. So last year, not a lot of people really cared. Now this year, they're doing the same thing with Silver Centurion and Jabari Panther, also known as Jabroni. So because those are two characters that no one wants. I mean, one, we don't need another Iron Man in this game, just like we don't need another Spider-Verse character.
I think that is probably one of the bigger igniting factors for what.
Yeah, that is what I think a lot of people got pissed off about it. And two, they're trying to force this kind of interconnectedness between Realm of Champions and Contest of Champions, because Contest of Champions is like, and I'm not exaggerating here, about 100 times more popular minimum compared to Realm of Champions. Realm of Champions has a relatively low player base compared to the money that Kabam have pumped into it. And so the drama that comes around it is they're trying to force in a lot of Realm of Champions crossover and Realm of Champions characters and things like that into Contest of Champions because they want people to go into that game. It's not going to happen. People have tried it that have and don't like it. It's a completely different type of game. It's horribly monetized. It's just not what we want in Contest of Champions. And when you have so many other champions that are missing from this game that people have been begging for, and you're not putting them in the game, it's an issue. Especially, it sets a dangerous precedent. When are they going to let Realm of Champions just die and stop forcing us to have more Iron Man and more other characters we don't care about? At the end of the day, Silver Centurion and Jabari Panther could be amazing characters. We don't know. They could also be duds because 2021 has kind of been the year of not much. But at the end of the day, it's not about that. It's about why are they trying to force us to be inclusive of Marvel Realm of Champion characters, and a lot of people are really against that. Like, they absolutely do not want to see Realm of Champions in Contest of Champions. That's the easiest way to say it. They're not original Marvel characters that they could pull from. They're trying to make their own Kabam created characters in this game.
Well, that's kind of like Silver Centurion exists in Marvel Comics.
He has it, but he's not the same.
This version of Silver Centurion. Silver Centurion as a mantle, let's say, or as a type of armor exists, and is straight out from like 80s X-Men cartoon, stuff like that. But this version of Silver Centurion is, I believe, Alex Rhodes, which is basically War Machine's descendant. And let's be honest, like, most of us don't really care about War Machine, let alone his grandson or something like that. Anyways.
Right.
Well, I think, well, first of all, the problem that kind of like really sparked this is really that we do have plenty of Iron Man, and vast majority of them really suck. So adding another one on top of that just feels very, very shit.
Very, very shit.
Also, neither of these characters are like really Marvel powerhouses by themselves. I mean, you can technically say Silver Centurion is an Iron Man, but again, like, if you're gonna download the game, you can read the word Silver Centurion, you're gonna be like, who the hell is that? Like, right? It's not Tony Stark.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the backlash would have been less for both if they would have, let's say, added in Realm of, well, maybe not Hulk because we have plenty Hulks, but kind of like more notable characters as Realm of Legends, Realm of Legends champions, like not Jabari, like nobody's ever heard of Jabari Panther. If they added in like Shuri as Black Panther from Marvel Realm or something like that,
better.
people would be much more receptive. That's another thing. And the third thing is, it was kind of like neat and expected the first time it happened, you know, like it's a new thing, it's a crossover, whatever. These characters kind of like you will agree that Storm, Pyramid X, and Sorcerer Supreme both look and read cooler with like cooler backstories.
They feel unique. Yeah, they feel unique, and they were fun characters. They were interesting characters. They weren't rehashes of two characters we already have.
Yeah, and also before that, you had a different perspective because Marvel Realm of Champions was this kind of like new thing that everybody was kind of like advertising to the world, and then well, even though I was never particularly fussed about the game personally, it had quite a bit of buzz around it. Now it has been around for a year or nearly a year, and well, vast majority of the people don't care about it, and this is a different point in time where people have already made their opinion and made the choice of what they think about Realm of Champions. Well, I personally, and I believe majority of my audience would agree with me, kind of want Marvel Contest of Champions as little to do with Realm of Champions as possible, because I'm not into the whole graphics, the way they look, the way their story is played out, and the characters themselves that don't speak to me. If they did, I might play Realm of Champions. And
well, that's the thing, is they're trying to get a crossover that nobody wants. Like, a lot of the majority of Contest of Champion players, it's a completely different style of game. Just because it has Marvel characters made by Kabam and happens to be the same kind of similar controls and such, doesn't mean that we're all instantly going to love the game or we want to be part of the game.
Which we don't. And I think the final kind of like explosive point here is, like, as you mentioned, the fact that there's so many champions that people do want. And again, I'm not personally the most passionate about this subject. I am a very pragmatic person in nature. I kind of care what quality of the champions getting added and what their abilities are. But I understand that people are very, very passionate because they do want to see their Marvel favorites in the game. And in this case, it's also, I believe, extremely short-sighted. I can understand that they want to boost Realm of Champions by doing this, but at the same time, if you think about it, nobody ever in history of ever will download, has downloaded, or is downloading this game right now because of Jabari Panther. You know what I mean?
No.
Like
And
most
I
people
don't think
have
there's
their
a lot
favorites.
of people that play Realm of Champions that are going to download Contest of Champions either, because again, it's a completely different
Yeah.
game. I don't think there's a lot of crossover going the other way, in other words.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing that I think it's quite sure. I know that they can't add all the cosmic powerhouses all the time, stuff like that. But in general, this is about as bad of a character choice as you can possibly get, I think. Because nobody knows them. Nobody really wants them. And this is also not quite the same reception that we had for Aegon, let's say. Because with Aegon or Guillotine or Morningstar and Morningstar 2099, sorry, Guillotine 2099 and Silver Warrior, all of those champions are also OG kind of like creations from Kabam, but they were made for Marvel vs. Champions. These champions are quite literally made for Realm of Champions and then shamelessly plugged in. So that's also like a huge difference, because the community came to love Aegon, community came to love sorry, Guillotine 2099. Because they were made for MCOC. Right?
I got it, KT. Go, keep going. Yeah, it's one of those things that it's one of those things where I think we can really focus on other champions that could get those resources rather than trying to shoehorn a game or try and revive a game that's dying. So it's just one of those things where I think there's just better resources.
Yeah. So I think we can kind of cover this for most part. Obviously, there are more things that we could go into it with Gabe not being happy, about us not being happy, and kind of like doubling down on that. And overall, I think it's fine. Nobody really likes it, but I don't think it is end of the world. I think eventually if these champions are good, we're gonna quote unquote learn to love them. But ultimately, I wish for this to pretty much never happen again. Like, I just don't think it's needed.
I hope not. I hope by next April it's gone. The game is dead.
Yeah, but like for most part, like let's face it, if a champion is gonna be good, we're gonna use it. Like the best champions in the game is like Ghost, who pretty much anybody knows from, and like Quake, who's also not like really cosmic powerhouse. And like from the cosmic powerhouses, there are like very few that are actually top champions, like Doom, for instance. And
right,
there is that. So, and yeah, it's
just frustrating when we know so many
somewhat.
characters we've asked for, like Sandman, for example, Kraven the Hunter, Batroc the Leaper, you've said, Blue Marvel, what do you call Omega Sentinel, Morbius. There's so many characters that they could bring into this game, and they've chosen not to for whatever reason. At the same time, bringing in characters that are minor characters no one cares about, and we really don't want to see, you know?
Yeah, and also it's just like, again, for the risk of sounding like a broken record, how hard it is to buff OG Iron Man and Superior Iron Man before you bring in Iron Man number 18. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, it's so annoying. It really is annoying. But okay.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, let's move on to probably the biggest portion, all the new champion releases and champion buffs. Now, we cannot talk about Jabari Panther, because Jabari Panther, for whatever reason, is missing the champion spotlight. I probably suspect that something has gone wrong and she has some sort of last-minute changes. Honestly, like, if I were a conspiracy theorist, I'd say they made her too busted, or either they made her too weak and they're making her busted because everybody hates her, or they made her too busted and are last minute changing her, tuning her down a bit. But either way, clearly something is not quite panning out there, I think. But, well, if they don't want to pose the character spotlight, that's perfectly fine. As soon as the update goes live, the character is going to be in the game, and we can see the abilities from there. Right, so which champion you want to start? And you can start with giving the feedback as well. Pick
shoot,
one out
man.
of four in this case.
I mean, I say let's save the best one that we think of for last for now. So let's talk about, and let's say the controversy maybe for the later one too. So let's start just with the basic one. So we have, let's talk about Silver Centurion since we're talking about the new characters anyway. We can't really talk much about Jabari Panther because we know nothing about the resources,
Yeah.
what's going
So
on.
we can talk about that.
So we can talk about Silver Centurion. So let's talk about him first since he's the new champion coming out. Now, on paper, if you read his abilities and such, he looks like he could be a really good champion. Could you scroll up so we can see the picture of him more, or scroll down, either way? Yeah, just so we don't see half of his.
Oh, yeah, I scroll down. It's fine.
Gotcha. But yeah, so basically, he has some decent abilities. He doesn't have anything killer prestige or anything, but he definitely looks like on paper, if this translate over to the champion itself, it looks like it'll be really nice to have, like a good addition to the tech class. But yeah, I just think, he has the armor break is his, was that a weakness? I think I remember reading. It was a weakness that he had.
Don't think he has weakness in armor break.
Yeah, okay, there we go. And then he has critical damage that gets increased. It's just really good stuff that he has overall. He seems like he could be a fun character. He's got like a similar lock-on like Falcon has. Yeah, I don't know, man. He looks like he could be pretty cool. I'm guessing he's going to be the first one that gets released, especially since we have no information on Jabari Panther, and I'm sure the early access bundles will come either this week or early next week. So what do you think?
Well, there are certain amount of worries. First of all, he's like quite complex character. He's one of those. If this doesn't happen, then that happens, and you need to be fully aware. So he's again very complicated relative to like an average character. I don't have a clear idea what his rotation is going to be. Overall, I was a bit annoyed reading his abilities because he has the abilities that I would absolutely want Iron Man Infinity War to have, as in ability to place shock and incinerate with his like regular hit combos, which is like what is the thing that actually slows down Iron Man Infinity War, let's say, compared to Archangel's, because Archangel plays bleed and poison on like heavy attacks and basic hits and blocking and stuff like that, and he doesn't need to get special attacks. With Iron Man Infinity War, at the bare minimum, you either need to drop level 3 or level 2 and a level 1 to place a plasma, which is longer than many people want the fights to last as is. And this guy will be able to place them on basic combos, so that kind of annoyed me. Overall, the character kind of can be described as a mix of Guardian with Iron Man Infinity War, because he does have lot of similar utilities. There is the whole no crit mechanic and reliance to shock damage. There is that armor up buff that he gains just like Guardian does. He's also shock immune and bleed immune if that armor up is up. So, initial part of him reminded me a lot of Guardian, and then a lot of mechanics have been kind of like lifted off Iron Man Infinity War with the whole plasma, with the whole incinerate, with the whole shock thing, and combining. Now the problem is it is definitely a playstyle that, let's say, will work 100% in Realm of Legends. Whether it will work in like Act 6, Act 7 variant content, that kind of remains to be seen, because you will obviously need to be wary of opponents, let's say, not throwing their special attacks, and you might lose your build up or your damage whenever opponent doesn't want to cooperate with you. Now, I do kind of feel again like I do with many champions that you're either missing additional form of power control on him or a taunt mechanic. Now, he does have OP level 3 though, which I think is kind of going to be the way to go, because with level 3 you can play the entire fight as and how you please. Drop the level 3, your lock-on is activated, opponent is slowed for 28 seconds, which is a very long time, and you can inflict power drain debuff that removes 1 bar of power plus additional 25% of power bar for each stack of plasma over 10 seconds. And if you have plenty of these plasmas, then you can just effectively spank the opponent till almost you get back up to level 3. So there could be some very practical rotation, but that again remains to be seen. So this is a character that I'm personally very interested in, but it all depends how well his abilities translate from the paper to the game. It looks very interesting with a ton of like damage over time effects, incinerates plasma, stuff like that, no crits, so no crit thing alone is like quite decent amount of utility. Shock immunity is fairly rare, so that's good. Armor buff, great, that's useful. And there are a lot of things that immediately make me kind of like think this character has quite a lot going for him.
Yeah.
So that is about the situation there.
Hopefully we're right and it ends up being like a decent, like, because arguably Iron Man Infinity War needs the synergy with Stealth Spidey to keep the debuffs active long enough and keep them on there long enough to do damage and also get the refresh and such. But if he can do that or something similar, that'd be really awesome. Or do more damage quickly without having to do that, just with normal attacks, that'd be great.
Yeah, but as a champion, he definitely looks interesting. He looks much more interesting than majority of the champions so far, but he could still turn out to be a dud. So
yeah, I guess we'll have to just wait and see, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely not counting this guy out from being a great option, especially like, again, no crits, slow debuffs on the heavy attacks and stuff like that. Very many kind of like very good, desirable things that you want in a champion.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, 100%.
Okay, so next we can go to the one that hardly had anything done. I think the most disappointing buff was Nova, because it's meant to be value only buff.
Oh, jeez,
but it got hardly anything at all changed about him. He got like slightly more potent furies, slightly longer duration of one of those furies or whatever. And now if you are unblockable, your level 2 does more damage. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think this buff once again completely misses the mark, just like, let's say, Soul Warrior buff did and stuff like that, because damage was never, ever the problem in Nova. Nova was not and is not the hardest hitter in the game, but his damage, if played correctly, can be respectable. It's just that there is absolutely no reason to use him ever under any circumstances. Anything this champion does, many, many, many champions do significantly better with more easier playstyle. And that's it. Like, no, like, there is quite literally no purpose for this champion outside of defense. Like, he is a somewhat annoying defender, but that's about it. And just improving his damage just shows how completely whoever worked on this has missed the problem in Nova. Because the problem is that the playstyle is too hard and there is no worthwhile utility or reason to use this character for anything at all.
Yeah, there really isn't. It's one of those that it kind of feels, and I've mentioned this before, it's kind of like the Annihilus buff when they did that. He was decent on defense already, so they didn't want to make any too big changes. They made him a little bit better offensively, and it kind of feels the same way with Nova. I don't think it's going to make him any, what's the word, more usable or anything.
Yeah, well, it doesn't, because it hasn't improved his actual like playstyle. The problem with Nova is it's quite tricky to play. You want to perform the dashback intercepts, you need to keep an eye on those charges, then you need to know when to like drop your mediums and not when to drop your specials, and there is a lot to know about the champion to just kind of like casually play him well. But there's like no reason to. It's like, why would you do that? It's like quite literally, why would you try to play this character who doesn't hit as hard as some other champions do? Granted, he's not a noodle, but there are much, much more harder hitter champions, especially in Cosmic Class, right? So his damage, let's say, is somewhat maybe above average, not amazing. And his rotation is hard and tricky. And on top of that, his utility is non-existent almost. He can get some buffs, and that's just about it. He can get some fury buffs. He can auto-block occasionally and get a true strike. I think that's about the limit of his utility. There's no immunities. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know. I kind of look at this buff as in like completely pointless. As in, this is one of those things that you kind of do just to check the box. You know, when you're late for a deadline and you're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. That technically qualifies as a buff kind of thing. Very, very, very disappointing. The
Yeah,
only
very
interesting thing about
disappointing.
Nova's buff was the change in his prestige.
Yeah, the mess up and the change in prestige.
Yeah.
Everybody thought he was gonna be a prestige god, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, by the way, no, sorry, it was a typo. We meant some intern misread our writing of a 3 as an 8 and thought he was gonna be boosted up 5,000 more than he was before, making him the highest champion in the game. But no, it wasn't that. So yeah. That kind of sucked. But his prestige is relatively the same. I don't know if it went up at all actually compared to what it is now. Um, so yeah, I think it's actually the same. I think we looked at that. So yeah, a lot of people need to know that he's not going to be the prestige champion. We still get questions on that. It was announced. It was only like active for I want to say like 4 or 5 hours, but
Yeah,
no
but it was
videos were
active at
made
the time
about
when
it.
everybody's looking at it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is a lot of people make videos about it, even though notes and additions to that was made. People really don't know how to read patch notes, so why are they going to read that? So yeah, so don't invest in Nova for prestige.
Yeah, the only purpose of this champion is quite seriously just put on defense.
Yeah, put on defense. That's about it.
Yeah, but okay, so this didn't take much time at all. So we can move on to let's go to the one buff that is promising,
Yeah,
Crossbones. Now, I'm personally quite excited about this one actually. I like Crossbones as a character. I like him in the game, like his character model, like he's quite big and furies and stuff like that. And I'm very glad with the way they took on his buff. I think, because in
yeah,
theory you can kind of get furies indefinitely if you can get the uh.
yeah.
So, so what do you think about Crossbones buff?
I think that it has potential to make the skill class also very, very, very good again. He's going to be which they've addressed on most things. Obviously we'll get into it a little bit more later, but I mean, he's definitely going to be a champion that needs to be awakened and needs to be a high sig. He's a champion that is going to be able to really just stack up damage. He's going to destroy heroes pretty much. He's going to be able to just be a better all. What do you call it? A champion. I think he's going to have that new contempt bonuses for the hero champions. Um, and that's about what I like to see. I like that. I think he's going to be really good. On paper it looks like the best buff out of everyone. Um, it looks like he's going to be fun to play. He's going to probably be ranked up very much if he ends up translating to the play style that we all think he's going to have, and I think it's going to be nice. I'm excited. I'm very excited actually. I wish I had him as a 6-star. I don't think I have him as a 6-star, so that's one thing that I've noticed some of these buffs. I'm like, damn, I keep getting
He's
all these
only
trash six
released
stars.
as
Why
a
can't I
six
get
star
the
very
trash?
recently, so hardly anybody has him as a 6-star.
Yeah, that's probably why. But I mean, I do have him as a 5-star, and I have him awakened because I think he's almost max sig, even awakened, just not without throwing
Yeah, how
anything in
much
it.
6-star
So,
star?
and I don't remember when he was released. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think he was early on, like back
It's 216.
2016, 20. Yeah, so like a lot of these variant rank up, like rank 4s, I mean, I think those gems are going to be very useful.
Yeah, that's why I say to people, if you do the variants now,
Yeah.
save them for the buff champions. Anyways, okay, so my
Yeah.
approach. Crossbones again is one of those versions where he just kind of gets, to be a significantly better version of himself. I suspect he's gonna feel very, very similar to how he felt, just with better numbers and with like more options and with more choices, more realistic things. One of the bigger things that I do like is that they increase the duration of overrun to 12 seconds from 8 seconds, because that was really short, and also that you can activate overrun quicker. Standing and holding block for 2 seconds is quite often impossible in very aggressive scenarios where you can't, let's say, gain the first bit of that time by parrying the opponent and stuff like that. So I do like that change a lot, and obviously in general he just seems like a champion who not only has plan A but also has like plan B now, if that makes sense, where you can
Right.
go in like longer fights, you can go to level 3. In shorter fights, you can just spam level 1s and let the furies expire. Don't worry about it. in longer fights, you can drop the heavy attacks to pause the fury buffs and trigger overrun to refresh them and try and stack, let's say, 50 of them. So I suspect there will be a ton of very interesting things out and around with Crossbones, but also this one thing where you have you can get up to 90% chance to purify incoming debuffs. I kind of like that in a sense because it's still not guaranteed, so you can't quite like bring him into, let's say, Freezer Burn and Biohazard and stuff like that in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
But also, every time you purify, you do get like a full-fledged Fury buff, and there are several nodes that kind of like casually drop annoying but relatively harmless buffs on you. Let's say whenever that PowerSting node, whenever you do fill a bar of power, you get like a debuff like PowerSting, which is again not the worst thing in the world. And if you purify it, perfect, you get Fury. If you don't, cool, you get willpower healing, and you can just wait till it expires, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I do think he will have some very, very cheesy applications as well, potentially. So I'm quite excited for that. And
Yeah,
in general, I
as am
think
I.
his ability accuracy reduction potency has been increased. And yeah, I definitely like his buff. There's also another that's quite another synergy, I think, with Mangog, unfortunately, that could kind of like elevate him to the next level. Start the fight with, Fury buffs gain plus 50% duration. That 50% duration is a very, very huge deal.
Yeah,
that
very
will
much
make his
is.
Furies last forever, and it's like double the potency that any other increased duration Fury things that we have in the game typically. We have 20 to 30% increased duration, like synergies available, but nothing with 50%. And on top of that, you don't have to waste 2 spots on your team. You can just tag along Mangog. You know what I mean? If you wanted to use any
Yeah.
other synergy, you'd have to like bring in 2 different champions. So, anyways, I do like that. I think we're gonna see quite interesting things. The only thing that properly remains to be seen is how he fits in metagame. For instance, Falcon has become extremely popular because he's like a legitimately viable option for a lot of hard fights in Alliance War, or like harder questing content and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
want to see where Crossbones will end with that. The most important thing that I kind of want to see is whether he will or could be, let's say, an Abyss option.
Yeah. That would be
Because
really
that
awesome if
could
that ends
be
up
true as
happening.
well, with the idea that he can stack these and refresh the Furies more or less indefinitely.
Yes. That would be excellent if that ends up happening. I think it'd be great, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And it could very well be an Abyss option.
Yeah.
So I'm quite excited to see
So
that.
if that ends up happening, that would be just legit awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, it all remains to be seen. I'm just thinking of possibilities with that rework.
I am very much excited if that ends up happening. You know what I mean? Gosh, man.
Yeah, Abyss option just like Civil Warrior. No, I don't think it's going to be just like Civil Warrior in a sense because his Furies, you can pause them with a heavy attack. And let's say in the period of 5 seconds, you can very easily trigger more than one Fury with Crossbones, typically. So,
Yeah.
in theory, you should hardly ever have to actually dash back to trigger overrun. Not like maybe like once in a minute, because the idea is you kind of like do a combo, drop a heavy attack, throw a special attack, and all of that already triggers a ton of Fury, so you can have more than enough to pay that cost of sacrificing a Fury buff to pause it for 5 seconds. Then eventually, but again, it remains to be seen. Maybe it's going to be completely awful. With Civil Warrior, I was immediately worried about the viability of those Furies. With Crossbones, not as much, because he has more than one option to pause or refresh them. And also,
Right.
he will have easier time gaining them because he gains them naturally, and then he just needs to refresh them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
What's my opinion? Nova's buff? Rewind the video because we just talked about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
and
keep
then
in
the
mind,
last one.
everybody, we normally don't read a lot of chat, but there was some good things there. So.
Yeah.
And okay, Jacob actually said something that you could basically save your overrun as a way to refresh whichever Furies you do have, rather than using it as a way to access damage right away. Yes,
Yeah.
Jacob, that sounds like a great option too. That's what I agree with
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it's definitely like what also what the deck said. It's making him reassess my future rank ups
Well, yeah,
for
that's a
sure.
good
And
thing. You should always reassess your future rank ups on taking
anytime
consideration
there's
any and all
changes,
changes.
yeah. I will say that with skill class, these tune-ups have really helped the class
I
without having
generally
to even
think
add
skill
new
class is
champions.
better than Cosmic and Tech now, and is not any longer
Yes.
the worst
Oh
class in the
man.
game.
But you know what? It was also the class most needing the help. And I
Yeah,
think
I
that
agree.
Tech is the next one that needs the most help after this.
It's in
After
between
they're
Tech
done
and
with the
Cosmic,
skill
I
class.
think. Arguments can be made for either one of those two.
Yeah, I would love to see Hawkeye get a refresh, just FYI,
Oh yeah,
in the future,
Hawkeye, I
because he
think
does
many
have
people would
some
love.
power control, but he's very basic. So, he's the basic bitch.
Yeah, but okay, now let's talk about the more controversial one.
Howard the Duck. Fuck.
Howard
This
the
one is
Sock.
rough. This is a rough one, and the reason why it's rough is because there are certain, and more that, and we know there are certain creators, Sweda, for example, that love Howard the Duck as is, plays him how he is right
I
now.
think we should probably go first over his actual abilities and
Yeah, well, I
and the
just
buff.
want to preface that it's one of those things. When we go over this, keep in mind it's very similar to what they did with Hood, only it affects a much smaller people. So once we go over it, we'll talk about the controversy after the breakdown. So yeah, go ahead, KT. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Alright, so the thing with Howard the Duck, well, okay, so let's go over his new mechanics. He's a lot less random now. Previously, there was like very little control to actually how you built your Furies, when they did trigger, when they didn't trigger, what effects triggered on level 2. Level 1's completely changed. There are a lot of things absent from his kit, like he doesn't have the heal anymore, he doesn't have that suppression thing that he did, like where opponents heal and power gains and attack was like reduced a bit with level 1. There are kind of like several things kind of like shed away from him. He does also, however, have some very weird button mashing abilities, which is impossible to judge how great or effective they will be. Rapidly pressing block button at different times in the fight grants Howard special mash bonuses, but the thing is, they never specify how rapidly, how many times you need to press it, what is the time given to you in which you need. So it's, I hate when like things like that happen, where it's just like you literally have no clue. Because it could be press block button 3 times in like 5 seconds, very easy, or it could be press block button 300 times basically in like some unrealistic amount of time, and it's just a garbage ability. So I hate that. So we're gonna have to, again, this is one of those things where we need to see character live and play with him to actually say how viable that ability works.
Yeah.
But basically, there is a quite unique thing about him now that I do like. The personal buffs and debuffs each expire one at a time, and that will go with all and every buff and debuff that expires. So there could be some very, very quirky interactions, I think.
Yeah.
With some nodes, but again, that's something that we're gonna need to experiment with. But the whole idea is now that he gains Furies. He gains only 1 armor up when the fight starts. When mashing buttons, you can gain more armor ups, which is kind of cool. And then you gain a Fury buff whenever you stun the opponent, up to 50 Fury buffs, kind of, and then
Which
level.
is insane.
Yeah, well, that's actually the problem, because those Furies themselves are less potent than they used to be. And let me tell you something, they were not insanely potent Furies before.
No,
So
they
there's
weren't,
that.
which is unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. On top of that, they are capped at 50, which they were not before.
Yeah,
Which goes
I forgot about that.
Against the idea behind this buff. Because if you read the developer notes on his kind of like strengths, long fights. The longer the fight, the more time to build up your Fury and energy. So it's meant to be a long fight champion, right? He's meant to be a long fight champion. Why the hell then the amount of Furies is reduced, and why the hell they are capped? Okay, I can see that if he's ramping up them much quicker, the Furies, you can reduce the potency of the Fury. But why the hell then there is a cap if he's meant for a long fight? Because it's again going directly contradicting the whole idea of his buff that he's meant for long fights. Like, okay, but so he's meant for long fights, but not the very, very long fights? I don't know.
I agree with what you're saying. I think we just need to see. I know that I need to see what 50 Furies actually does in regards to damage. That's what I think I need to see before I can make a decision on that.
Also, Howard the Duck will be a new owner of possibly the most pathetic armor break that I have seen in recent living memory.
Oh yeah, that one's bad.
Heavy attacks have 100% chance to inflict armor break. That is 76.17. Honestly, it's armor break in name only. Even if you get your max stacks 10 of them, whatever.
I think it's more for nodes that require
Yeah,
armor
it's
break.
probably
Or so,
it's pretty much that
it's
because like
for.
armor break in itself is like, let's say, small piece of utility, but
I
it's
think it's
just
more for
laughable
like.
amount of armor break. It's honestly kind of like whatever.
It's more for the fact that it just armor breaks. I
Yeah,
don't think. I
exactly.
almost feel like it's an
I
armor
fully
break.
comprehend that idea. I just think it's kind
Yeah.
of like very petty, and either do it properly or don't do it at all, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
That's okay. I feel what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the worst armor break that I have seen, or
Yeah,
definitely in
I
top
agree.
5 worst ones. And then we have Special 1, who lost all of its previous abilities, but now inflicts 2 heal block debuffs, each lasting 2.5 seconds. And if you mash buttons, you can inflict additional ones. And again, keep in mind that each debuff expires one at a time. So when they say inflict 2 heal blocks for 2.5 seconds, it actually means like basically 5-second heal block, just kind of like 2 stacks of them, or possibly even longer. And Special 2, 80% chance to inflict suppression debuff, reducing combat power rate by 10% for 4 seconds. Additional hits can inflict additional suppression debuffs if you're mashing. Again, I have no idea how well that ability is going to work, but it's okay. We all know that suppression is pretty much the shittiest form of power control, so again, I'm not really all that much in love with it. Like, it goes quite literally suppression, underweight, and then it's like full-on power lock. So suppression's pretty much the shittiest form of power control.
Yeah, I agree with
that. And that again doesn't say that much great things about him. Special 3, 100% chance to inflict 3-second stun debuff. Okay. Howard gets a perfect result in Special 3 minigame. The stun debuff becomes passive in last 4 seconds. Whatever. Kind of, again, pointless ability. And then you have Quack Fu, which basically makes him better against mutants. Against mutants, he can almost go stun immune, more or less. Well, for most part. Well, not just stun immune, but he reduces the debuff duration by 1.3 seconds, which could actually be very useful. Then he has increased ability base accuracy to counter domino, and he has crit resistance. That's just about it.
Yeah. I think yeah, that's pretty much
it. Yeah, there is a synergy with Tiger though. That is worth pointing out. Where is the Tiger thingy? Because Tiger synergy will allow him to. One second. Bishop Storm, pretty next platinum pool.
Okay. Yeah, give me time.
Not that one. Or maybe it's not.
I thought there was one.
Anyway, it's so fun. Oh, this one is good. I forgot. Not the Tiger one, but this one. With Gwenpool, Spider-Ham, Gold Pool. Critical hits pause all personal debuffs for 0.5 seconds. So that is kind of cool synergy that will let you keep your suppression things and your heal blocks and things like that longer, even stuns.
Yeah.
But there we go. So that's how I did that. And it's a very, very difficult subject. I haven't made a full-on video about it because I don't know exactly where I myself stand, because I can see points to both sides of the argument very easily.
Yeah.
Definitely
can.
Yeah, to kind of like lay it out. I can agree why Swede is mad because the champion is losing a ton of things in the sake of being, let's say, more friendly to use for more people. And I ultimately do think that Howard is going to be a better champion in more matchups than not. But again, that goes against the idea of champion actually getting like a proper buff and overhaul.
Yeah.
And
it's one of those things, and this is what I had mentioned earlier, that, and I'd said it before too, is that it's changing the character in a way that affects people that currently use and play the character how he is. It's similar to what they did with the Hood when they said when they were gonna take things away. They're not gonna do that in the future. However, people that used Hood, there are more than people that use Howard currently.
Well, that's the thing, because I quite legitimately do sincerely believe that it could honestly be only, I don't know, 4 people. everybody likes to argue and everybody likes to say this is right, that is
Yeah, I
right, but
know.
I
Yeah.
have never met a and trust me, like I'm not gonna like okay. I have been around the block a lot. Like I'm in a ton of line rooms. I speak with hundreds, if not thousands, of players a day, and I fully understand that I cannot say to any degree that I have spoken with, like, let's say, the majority or whatever. But at the very least, I can claim to have spoken with a relatively decent amount of summoner pool from all levels of game progression.
Right.
And I haven't met anybody besides that one person who is Swede that actively plays Howard the Duck. That's it. And I genuinely would challenge the idea that there are more than a couple more people. And
I'm sure there are, yeah.
Again, I'm not. That's the thing. I'm genuinely not. He's that bad for most of the fights. And unless he's literally your first 5-star or first 6-star, there is very little reason for an average person to invest in it.
Right.
And that is why I'm unsure where I stand with it, because it could quite literally be the issue of, let's say, 100,000 people in this case getting much more usable version of Howard, who might have less potential ceiling on the power level, who could not hit as hard anymore and who could not be used in some matchups. But you get a much quicker ramp up in any matchup that he works in. Many matchups he would be a better option as well, with like the additional bleed immunity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And at which case I'm not entirely sure whether one person's or, let's say, 10 people personal stand and their personal investment outweighs the betterment of thousands of people. Ultimately, let's face it, like very few, if any, people to give a shit about Howard the Duck right now. And it's very high chance that nobody will afterwards, but there is also a very good chance that more people will.
Yeah.
And that
We'll
it
just
would
have to wait and
ultimately
see.
make him better, would make him more usable for most people. And I'm not sure whether, I think with Hood, the situation was much more clear to me. And here, I don't know.
Yeah. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
I know it's just like a mobile video game about Marvel, because right now at this point we are quite really forced with a deeply philosophical question, right? Whether the needs, preferences, or opinions or investment of a single player or a handful of players is worth preserving over the potential betterment to thousands.
Yeah. Well, we just gotta again. This is one of the controversial ones. I'm gonna have to wait until it actually comes out.
Exactly. And I'm getting like two. That's why I'm personally have been struggling. I have been thinking about it for like 2 days, and again, I have not made like a full-on video because I do not know what video I want I do not know what message I want my video to send, because I do not know what is the correct answer there. Because if
I think you should.
This is a.
I don't.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think this has peaked the kind of problem of Hood, where you purely are fighting the principle, because you can't have like more stark example here. Because again, I quite literally am aware of only one person who actually uses this champion and has ranked up this champion other than anything else than it, like joke or funsies or whatever. And it's quite literally here the kind of like the very culmination of respect a single person's investment and affection towards a character or a potential betterment of thousands, right? It's not an easy, like when you break it down like that, because ultimately I don't think Howard the Duck, it doesn't look like he's going to be amazing. There are a lot of unknowns, but I do think he would be a better champion for 90% of the people in the community. Don't know if 90, I don't know how many people would actually use him, but I do think that overall he would be a better champion for 90% of the people. And here is that, or if not more. But
I think
does that make it right?
I think before you make a video, you need to actually wait until he's released so you can
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
better.
that's what I'm planning to do. That's what I'm planning to do, because again, I'm not sure exactly where I stand. That will probably determine what the message in the video is going to be, but it's just not
Yeah.
as straightforward picture to me as it was with Hood.
It's very similar in what they did. It's very
It's
similar.
very similar, but the situation again, like it's also very similar to what they did with Netflix Daredevil, right? Daredevil Hell's Kitchen. You cannot deny the fact that Daredevil's Kitchen is much better. He's not amazing, but he's much better than he used to be. But they
Yeah,
took
he
away
is.
his ability to armor break. They took ability his to perfect block. They took away his ability to dodge projectiles. But nobody gave 2 cents of flying fuck because the champion was that bad. Now, again, for majority of the people, champion in their eyes is that bad, and it's not worth the investment. Yeah, we could have very well had the same situation with Daredevil Hell's Kitchen buff, where they took away all of his existing abilities, so long as one person with an audience didn't like it, or was actively playing the champion. And the question is, do we think that Daredevil Hell's Kitchen shouldn't have been buffed, or what?
It's just one of those situations you get in tricky anytime you're messing with a
Oh, exactly.
champion.
That's how that
Obviously, the
it is
champions, my
tricky.
guess is the champions they choose to buff also has a lot to do with their statistics on
Oh,
what's not being played.
oh, probably. But that's why here's a situation where that I think there is like kind of like bottom line, when champion is that bad, when so few people play him, that they should have the full liberty to change the champion how the hell they please, possibly. But let's say they
It's
change
just,
Joe Fixit and they completely rework, and then somebody comes out of the bush and say, "I love Joe Fixit. He was amazing for me." Like,
you see, but the problem is it comes into the play when they change these champions. They need to send out rank down tickets to the people that did rank these champions up. I'm sorry, it just needs to be done. If you have somebody, and it's real easy to do, if X then Y. If you ranked up a champion that's being majorly changed, like let's say Howard the Duck, you better give down rank down tickets to at least 2 levels. So if you have, you know who ranked a ranked 5 Howard the Duck, you need to give them a rank 5 to 4 and a 4 to 3 rank down.
I'm
Those are
really
the two
honestly
that need to be
interested to
given.
see that number though. How many people have ranked down Howard the Duck?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
that
that many.
wouldn't like if you gave Swede 2 rank down tickets, he wouldn't give 2 cents of a
Yeah,
flying shit about it
I know he wouldn't, but
because his
it's
champion is
something.
taken away.
It's something though, you know.
Yeah, but again,
I don't
that
know.
doesn't solve the
I think
problem. It's
we've
kind of
kind
like
of
a
beat
little
this.
band-aid, I suppose, or a little sorry for the inconvenience kind of card in mail.
Well, yeah, but it's something. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
better
understand.
than nothing.
Okay, and now obviously about the most OP champion, let's talk about Auntmate.
Fucking dude, you're gonna have to talk about this one more because I'm pissed off because when your best looking champion, the one that I'm actually looking forward to, is a fucking April Fool's joke, you've done something wrong as a company. Because this was an April
I
Fool's
know,
joke to
it's
make
funny.
us
Like, obviously,
laugh.
I'm not going to
This
discuss
was
the entire abilities. This is April Fool's joke that I legitimately want in game, and I see more potential in than pretty much
this
anything they have released in recent months.
this this is the meanest April Fool's joke because this isn't one to make us laugh. This is one to make Kabam laugh at us, saying, "Ha ha, we could make a good champion, but fuck you, we're not doing shit." That's what it is. So fuck you for
I
that,
also think
Kabam.
this to do this April Fool's joke, it would have been a very cool thing if the current situation wouldn't be as bad as it is. They have had 3
2021
months
champions
of
have been
total
shit.
boredom, nothing happening, nothing interesting happening in game at all whatsoever. Players leaving left and right, bugs destroying game, and incredible amounts of downtime. Every champion released thus far being complete dud. Everybody being pissed off about new month's champions, and then they do this. It could have gone down very well. Let's say if they did it in January after the December high, because everybody was on this like MCOC and Kabam's awesome. We got all of these events. We got all of this gift stuff. You know, everybody was happy with Kabam much more than they are with them right now. And in December, that kind of thing would have worked, but not right now. And it's again one of those situations where you can just clearly say that the company is a bit tone deaf.
You know, it's read the fucking room is what it is.
Yeah.
Read the room. You've got your player base pissed off at you about all these things, and you're going to show us a badass champion. It would
Yeah.
have been better if that. You know what would have been funnier? Instead of showing this, save this for next year when maybe you got your shit together, because this looks badass. Fucking show us chair. You should have shown us chair, and that would have been funnier. I would have laughed my ass off at chair. But fucking showing me Aunt May Harold and all the shit she can actually do, fuck you.
Mando's triggered. This situation itself kind of reminded me when like I pissed my girlfriend off, and then I kind of like tried to approach her with like some silly joke, and she's still mad at me, and she just like whacks the shit. No, not whacks the shit out of me, but like yells back at me, and I'm like, okay, no mind, I'll come back later. I'll try out my stand-up material at a later time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you guess what? You read the fucking room. Kabam
Yeah.
can't read the fucking server, apparently, assholes.
But yeah, no, all the abilities are, well, quite literally, it's all of her abilities are a mixture of Strife, Silver Surfer, and Thing. But
yeah.
that combination is actually bloody insane. If you check around all the immunities, as a champion, she would be busted useful. There's Bleed, Armor Break, Armor Shattered, Nullify, Stagger, Fate Seal, Incinerate, Cold Snap, and Shock. Debuff immunities, pretty much. It is so good, man. It's so good.
Yeah, they would never release a champion that way, which is bullshit also, because that would be awesome.
But yeah, it would have been a very, very, very cool champion, though. The looks aside.
I'm trying to think. You know, you could still poison her, though.
Yeah, I know.
So she's not completely immune.
No, obviously she's not completely immune to
everything.
everything.
You could degen her, too. So.
Yeah. But
no
yeah,
spider
anyway.
champ can evade her. It should be no symbiote can evade her.
But anyways, again, it's a funny thing, just at the wrong time. I think it was a bit.
It would have been funnier, like I said, if the game was working right and they had released good champions this year. Yeah. That it would have been great. Would have been great. This is something they should have done. You know, when they released Dr. Doom. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has to be done on April Fools, but.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. You know, that's what I look at.
Anyways, let's move on to the next one. So we do have some bit of news about Variant 7, and surprisingly, Variant 7 is not Groot and Rocket Raccoon now. Variant 7 is in fact going to be Spider People folks thing, which is actually a bit weird in this case, because we just technically got like a Spider variant. Variant 5 was centered around like Spider-Verse heroes. And symbiotes and stuff like that. But anyways, this one is a spider variant only in a name though. Because it revolves around hero champions, and in addition to the hero champions, it will also have some sort of class-based champion requirements with paths designed to both challenge and benefit the champions required to play. So what is your opinion about this variant? Are you excited? Are you worried? I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about it, but
yeah, I know. I'm a little worried just because of the class restrictions. I thought we were past that. I'm okay
it kind of depends how they implement, but I must agree that there is a definitely very, very bad record for Kabam whenever they go in the class direction.
Yeah, because I would say that I was really happy about another variant coming out. I'm a little upset now. I use the word upset in the fact that I don't know if it's going to be good or bad. Let me put it that way.
Well, the thing is, like, variants coming, I'm happy regardless. Even if it's too hard, like, selfishly, I'm happy. As my self-individual, I generally don't give a shit how bad or hard that variant is. I'm just happy it's here because I know for a fact that I will be able to complete it and beat it, even if a lot of people hate it. But again, as a content creator, I do hope it's great. I do hope it will be fun, because Kabam has a very great track record overall with variant content. Probably the best thing that they are doing right now, where they have had the least fumbles. The only thing is that, as you mentioned, is the class thing, because so far historically, every single meaningful piece of content that has been class-based is pretty much worse in their own respective categories. The class-based stuff started at like 5.3, and 5.3 was and still is the most hated chapter in Act 5 because of how boring and just bad it is. Then we have class requirements again in 6.2, which is again notoriously pretty much the most hated content in Act 6 because of the class gates. And then the only variant that really is kind of like class restricting properly is the variant 1, which again is the most hated universally variant by most. I personally don't mind it too much. I do recognize that it's harder than every other variant. But in general, so far, they have had 3 major pieces of content that are strictly class-based, and all 3 of those pieces of content have been rubbish. So I hope they do break out of that and they do deliver the regular standard of excitement and joy that we have come to expect from variant level difficulty content. And on top of that, having, rank 4 to 5 5-star rank up gem and some other crap is something I look forward to. 25% T5CC, probably. Some rank up gems for 5 stars that are getting buffed, all good stuff. So I'm well chuffed, proper excited.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like I said, it all comes down to will it work or not, Hopefully it does.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But just so you guys know, not Groot and Rocket Dragoon. It's going to be basically Miles Morales and Spider themed. It's going to be revolved around hero champions. You will be able to bring in villains and other tags, but you do not quite want to do that because, as it is said here, and new global effects in these quests will limit the output of all except hero champions. We will also be increasing ability accuracy for each hero on the summoner's active team. So the more
can we talk about? Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's literally here in the text. We will also be increasing ability accuracy for each hero on the summoner's active team. So you will be able to bring in villains and mercenaries and whatever else you want. But you probably will not want to bring in villains and stuff like that.
Can we talk about one thing? How many heroes can deal with evade champions?
Huh?
In each class? How many heroes in each class can deal with evade champions? That's what I was worried about too.
I don't know, but that is something that we can take a look in a bit, but probably not right now, because that would probably take like another 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, I was going to look it up. I wasn't going to go to Aunt May. I was going to go to just look real quick at heroes and see what, real quick, how many, and then which one.
It's not going to be a quick thing, because there are a lot of champions who can kind of deal with it and stuff like that, and it really would take quite long. If you guys really want to, I can try and make it in a video, or I don't know, make it a graphic, but it's not something we're gonna go over right now.
Yeah, I think that would be better as a video breakdown. Yeah. Each class, heroes, which ones can deal with evade champions? Because my guess is that's going to be the biggest problem.
Well, we're gonna see about it. There might not be need to deal with evade champions, but I'm gonna make the guide and everything else.
Yeah.
So unless the variant actually comes out today, then I'll might make a video about that.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying right this second, but I'm just saying that is something to look at possibly.
Yeah. Okay. But
I know in the skill class I can think of 3 already, but that's it.
I'm sure there are several in most classes, maybe except a couple. But I think that class is quite bad at dealing with that.
It's heroes.
But yeah, I understand. Well, either way, that's about it for variant 7 right about now.
Yep,
and let's move on to upcoming side event. What do you think about the upcoming side event?
It's a lot more straightforward than what we've been getting lately.
I like that Kabam has been taking notes, and they actually legitimately did. Too long didn't read.
Yeah.
TLDR.
They kind of need that for everything because. I'm sorry, whenever your champions have a goddamn novel, and then you release new ones, and then you update them, and then you have a new update coming out.
Well, they did write a huge novel here this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. They expect us to read a fuck ton.
Honestly, most of it is quite insignificant. Like, a lot of it is just going over the buffs that you will see in there, and which champions you can see, and stuff like that. So, about 70% of this text could easily be taken out.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think that's what they need to get rid of is the fluff.
No, well, to be fair, that would be kind of like we ask them for a better explanation. They're trying to explain it better. But yeah, there are things that shouldn't be in there. But I'm overall just happy that they are trying to explain it better because previously
I know.
You should literally have like, I don't know, spend an hour of research for me to try and explain people what they're about to have to do, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
it's
especially,
better that we have it and be upset with it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I completely agree with that, and I see the point in it.
yeah,
I'm just thinking, if let's take this, like, I understand this is a game and this is something we choose to do, but I feel like I'm back in school, dude. You got to know all this shit. It's like you're always preparing for some test and they're constantly changing everything on us, and that's why I think people get burnt out too. But anyway, upcoming side event looks good. The rewards are the only randomish part of
yeah.
it, I would
That
say.
is the one thing that I generally, wholeheartedly, absolutely hate. Because
Yeah.
the reward difference can be very great. It's just like we can see crystal opening, somebody who, I don't know, gets crap, like, okay, it doesn't matter, but in general, I just don't like random rewards, especially for these kind of like
No.
monthly contents. And
It's make it a level playing field for people, because that's the problem is everybody's going to have to do the same difficult task, but it's the equivalent of, we're going to hire these two people for a job. It's both a difficult job, and then at the end of it, you roll a dice to decide, do you get $100,000 or do you get $1?
yeah,
And that's kind
kind of, well,
of
it's obviously not as
shit.
extreme, but well, there is upside though. Why I'm kind of okay with it, because it's not like you get one reward at the end of the quest and you only have, let's say, 30 or 35 dice rolls. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
basically roll the dice 7 times a day, kind of thing. So
Yeah, I
since
know.
you do have much more attempts at something, statistically it's much more likely that you're still gonna hit that average. It's kind of similar
There's going
debate
to
that
be
we had
people that
about
hit the
the,
average. There's going to be people that hit the below average. There's going to be people that hit the above
yeah,
average. Yes, I
obviously,
agree.
but
It's just,
because of the increase of the attempts, more people will kind of have that about similar or same rewards. Because again,
yeah.
it's the story of, like, as you mentioned, if you roll a dice of $1 or $100,000, obviously it's gonna completely shaft one person over, and then the other person is gonna be extremely lucky. But if you get those people to roll the dice, let's say, I don't know, 1,000 times each, and based on the results, you give them either $10 or $1. Statistically, both of them are gonna walk away with similar amounts of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they realistically they could. The odds always even out.
Yeah,
The
it's
more you do it,
over
the
the
more the
bigger
odds even
sample
out.
pool, you get more true representation, kind of like, of the statistical
So
average.
that's the good part of it.
Yeah,
At least you
because
have that.
you kind of roll the dice 7 times a day, because of each of the 7 kind of like fights has a reward attached to it. So it's not going to be as bad, but it's still bad. Still don't like it.
Yeah, I'm still not a fan of it.
Yeah, well, other
Unless
than that, at the
unless
very least, I am kind of okay with the format of the event. I like the format of the event is decent
yeah.
enough. Do
No, it's
something, get a
very,
key, do the quest, go live happy, go lucky. You don't need to plan how much of this, how much of that, where you need to go, stuff like that. What you need to, yeah, it's just much more straightforward for
yeah,
once.
definitely much more straightforward, much easier. I think it's good. I think it's a better thing. So,
Yeah, it's just that, yeah. Ideally, instead of this reward system, like my favorite reward system is when they give us a store and we can just buy what we
yeah.
want.
I like when they give us a store and you can actually afford everything in it, because it makes you feel nice.
Nah,
Makes you feel
I
like you
kind of
actually
don't
did
like
something.
that. When you can afford everything in it, then you kind of end up buying items that you really don't need. I like when, because
Well,
basically when you give a store where you can afford everything in it, it's an illusion of a store, because they could have just as
okay.
well easily sent you everything in mail and everybody gets that. You know what I mean?
So, okay, so then I think it's cool if you can buy everything in the store, but for like Cavalier and Thronebreakers, you actually have the choice of not buying the lower shit but buying higher shit.
Kind of,
That would
like,
be
more or less.
cool.
Uh,
That'd be cool.
yeah, I just like the store
Anyway,
when it's an actual store, when you prioritize. Do you need tier 5 CC, tier 5 B, tier 2 alpha, or shards, or whatever, and you make a decision and you go with it.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. I want to see the event. I'm excited. I'm hungry for it. It's only, 2 days away.
Yep. So that should be
So yeah.
alright. And we can move on to the
Awesome.
new one, which is the new cow drop rates that actually just quite literally pooped on my head.
Yeah, I was gonna say you had the worst. You were the low end. You see, that's when we go with the statistic. You statistically had lower than average.
I
We've
had
had obviously,
significantly lower than average.
yeah. You didn't get one 5-star in all 20 that you opened, which you should have. Realistically, you should have got two, 5 stars at least. But
It's actually Cavalier Crystals, drop rates 5 stars 12.8, plus 6 stars 2.4, plus 5-star Nexus. I think if you will find it
oh,
that
it's
I should
probably
have
even more than
gotten
that. Yeah, you're right.
more than that.
You probably should have got at least 3 or 4. Yeah,
Yep.
because you got to you would have had, unless this is something I've never understood. I have never added up all those numbers. Do the 6-star and the 5-star Nexus not count towards a 6-star? Like, it says 2.4%.
Yeah, they do not count. They are separate ones. So you basically,
okay.
if you look at it, you basically need to add
So you have
12.8 plus
3% to get a
2.4.
star.
That would be 15.2. That would be 18.4, and that would be 19%. So in 20, I should get in between 3 and 4, 5 or 6-star champions statistically,
4, yeah.
which I got 0 of. So yeah. Anyways, that's just a very solid example of.
You know what the problem is? The problem is having those 3 stars in there. They need to remove the 3 stars.
No, they can't do that. They literally can't do that. Everybody wants to, and everybody would like to, and everybody would cheer for that. But it would significantly flip the game on its head. With the increase of shards for every player available, with the increase of ISO, it would completely eliminate need for you to try and acquire gold, because everybody would have so much more ISO and stuff. And it had a lot of impact. It's a thing that everybody wants to. It's kind of like government should send everybody $5,000 a month. We all want to. We would like it, but it's not gonna happen.
But KT, you mean that we wouldn't have to worry about a gold resource that a lot of people don't have to worry about that have saved up, or we wouldn't have to worry about ISO that a lot of people have been trying to get? You mean 2 of the resources?
Not just that.
I think
It has overall much more impact than that, because it's not just the ISO, it's not just the gold, but those 2 things as well. Then every crystal that you open would also give you 5-star shards. So the 5-star rate of opening 5 stars would increase significantly. With that, also the rate of opening 6 stars would increase significantly, because the amount of 5-star shards that you get would go up. And it has a crap ton of side effects than just, oh, you didn't get it like 4-star anymore. It is not as simple as people wanted to believe. And I hate the fact that I am the guy who has to tell, because obviously I would want every pull for everybody to be great. But this game survives on the fact that things are not easy in it. And if you make them too easy, then the game will die. If every person gets every champion they want, nobody's going to play the game.
I don't know.
Well, that is a fact. If I could spend $500 and I'll have every 6-star champion max sig, this game would be dead.
Well, there's no way to do that.
Well, I know, and I'm purposely hyperboling here, in a sense that just to like prove the point where the game largely has survived and is still relevant, because things are hard and things matter in it. If you can acquire things too easily, then they don't matter too much.
No, I'm not confused. I'm not confused. I'm just pissed at the game. We got to understand, it stops becoming a game and becomes something else with everything that gets introduced into it.
Well, kind of, but either way, here's the thing is, only way for them to remove 3 stars from cow crystals would be to put that price up to about 500 units. To maintain similar levels of resource flow.
I don't have anything more to say. It's just they increased it. Some people are getting more, some people aren't. It's still.
Well, overall, I mean, like it is largely a good thing for most. It will unfortunately also divide the gap in between people who can frequently open these crystals and who cannot.
Yeah, I'm just saying that at the end of the day, it doesn't affect anybody that's free to play, really, unless they get them in events. It doesn't affect people that don't buy these types of crystal anyway. It'll start affecting the people that, when they add it to the featured, When they add it to the featured crystals, you'll probably start seeing a lot more of the 5 and 6-star featured champions
Yeah.
being pulled, is my guess.
Especially because a lot of people just buy the early access bundles.
Yeah.
And well, that is
Andrew,
the thing. It's not a bad thing per se, but it will also have bigger impact in a sense that this is one of those things that bring a bigger divide in between spenders and not spenders. So I'm genuinely not overly happy to see this increase. I know a lot of people are, and that's perfectly fine. I don't think this is like the healthiest thing. I think if they do this, they need to somehow increase the acquisition of cow crystals for free as well.
You know, instead of having 3 stars in there, of course, I know these are only hero crystals, but instead of having 3 stars, I just imagine there could be a better resource to put in there than 3 stars. But then it doesn't become a champion crystal, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I don't have a better answer either.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I don't either, and it's not really our job, but I can tell you for a fact that just removing 3-star champions from these cow crystals is not necessarily the answer. It's one of those things that, again, like, you might be personally happy that government sends you $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 every month in a check, but if government can't afford it, and then the government collapses, and then your electricity goes out, eventually, like, you know what I mean, and eventually things go to shit. And this is one of those things what everybody would like, but it just doesn't quite work that way. I think, at least that's what I believe.
I do think a new master had a good idea. They don't have to remove them, but they should change the drop rates based on your level in the game, which I kind of agree with. But at the same time, could open new problems too.
Yeah, again, that would again open new problems, I think.
The way they handle that now is having cheaper discounts on how much the crystal costs. So
yeah, I think that's kind of like fine enough. But and there is no like easy simple fix. I do feel, however, I smell with my little nose that there is a new Thronebreaker crystal coming.
I think so too. I just think,
and I think there will be no 3-stars in it, but I think they're going to be more expensive.
We'll see basic Thronebreaker crystals before we see featured.
Yeah,
for
we always
6 to 9 months, and then they'll probably make it. That's why you're seeing these updated. Maybe is because they're going to do that. Maybe they will make it 500 units, but it takes away the 3 stars, like we've been saying.
Yeah,
it could be. That's very enticing.
Yeah, I fully do think that we're going to see Thronebreaker crystal quite soon with no 3-stars in it, but probably an increased price. Most likely increased price.
I would guarantee a decreased price, which I would not. I mean, if you could tell me I have to pay 2.5 times the price, but I'm guaranteed never to get a 3-star, I would do it. I would do it for 2. If I had the disposable units or income, I would do it.
So, anyways, that is that. But I can, and I'm sure I'm gonna get some crap from people saying, KT doesn't want to take out 3-stars from cow crystal, stuff like that. Obviously, I want.
No, I understand your reasoning.
I just don't think it would be a great thing for the game overall.
Yeah, and I agree. The other thing is to put a purchase limit, but a purchase limit would hurt their bottom line.
Yeah,
which wouldn't do
never,
anything.
ever in a million years, company that wants to make money will stop people from spending money. Like, you know what I mean?
Because all they'll do is there'll be a purchase limit, but then they'll add another sigil type thing where you can purchase more. So you're paying more money for the ability to purchase more. Yeah, that's how they would get around that. It's not. Yeah, it would not. But yeah, if you look at it this way, if you're paying $2 now, let's say for a cav crystal, which I know isn't, but let's just say two monies, okay? Because I know everybody's currency is different. Let's just say if you're paying 2 monies for a cav crystal now, I would pay 5 monies to guarantee no 3-stars.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. It generally does, because even though you open significantly less, and you can still get that 4-star, but that 4-star is 100% guaranteed to net like 10 times more ISO than the 3-star does. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it comes down to 2 monies or 5 monies and guaranteed no 3-star. You run the risk, but at the same time, you're lowering your risk.
It does kind of depend on other drop rates as well in it, though.
It doesn't improve them. No. I think it should only be like 50% goes straight to 4-star. So it'd be 88% you're getting a 4-star, and the rest of them stay the same. That's what I'm saying. So
I do think if you're gonna put up the price that much, then they should keep the proportionality of the top ones. So basically, if you take out 3-stars who, let's say, were 50%, then each
Other one based
Other
up,
ones
I know
should
what
be
you
increased
mean.
by 50% to make up the 100
So
and be increased proportionally.
yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're
That's
saying.
what I think.
You're basically increasing everything times 1.5.
Yeah. Kind of.
1.5% higher percentage.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand.
Okay,
I know
and the last thing
150%
then.
of whatever the is. So like for example, 38. What's 150% of
Well,
38? So
it's not that vital, I think. We kind
no,
of
but I'm
need
just
to.
saying that's what it would be though.
Yeah. But that
Because
would be the plan there. Anyways, the
it'd be
very last thing
57%.
to talk about is going to be, again, just a friendly reminder and a warning to people, especially right freaking
Yes.
now. Because if the update goes live and you are somebody who plays map 7, be very, very, very careful of map 7 Crossbones. Because this week he is on the flame node, the incinerate node. Do you burn?
Oh, no,
whatever.
incinerate this one. Yeah.
What is it called? And I forgot. But anyways, be careful of Crossbones, because now he will have 90% chance to purify your incinerates. So there will be very, very good few good counters, and I suspect a lot of people will get into a lot of trouble, because unfortunately I don't think Kabam has actually yet replied to this. This track is one thing, but this week it's not on this track. This week he's on the, let's say, acid wash of incinerate type. Pleasure to burn? Pleasure to burn. There we go.
Pleasure to burn, yeah. I was going to say it's pleasure to burn, yeah.
Pleasure to burn. This week he's on pleasure to burn, and it's going to be very freaking hard to land that incinerate on him, because he has up to 90% chance to remove that incinerate. And I think personally they should remove Crossbones, or at the very least, if they put Crossbones in, put him at a very, very low sig, because his shrug of chance is going to depend on his sig ability.
Yeah, it's going to depend on. So they either
10.
need to lower his sig ability or something.
Yeah, to balance that fight. Because if they put in Crossbones sig 200 and AQ map, I can guarantee you there will be people who do not finish the map this week. A lot of them.
Yeah.
And it's just, people be very, very careful after the update when facing Crossbones, especially when facing Crossbones, because he goes from basically having 25 or 35% chance to purify, which was already quite annoying, because Crossbones purifies immediate, not like Agent Venoms. And if he purifies your parry, you basically immediately get hit in the face. But yeah, so it goes from 35% up to 90% pending his signature ability. So Crossbones will by himself be much, much, much harder to fight against, because you will pretty much be unable to land any debuffs with vast majority of the champions in the game on him. And since there is nothing mentioned about Alliance Quest, and he in Alliance Quest this week is on Pleasure to Burn, and in other rotations is on this track, he will be a very, 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 very tough fight.
This track is hard with him, because I tried like with Human Torch and got obliterated. I tried with Mole Man. It's not my path, but I was bringing counters to like help out if I needed to, and I got rinsed both times I tried with two different ones. So him being more buffed up now, basically, and on diss track would be a nightmare.
I can easily see people complaining in forum, people getting wrecked, people getting stuck, and see people leaving alliances, and it's gonna be bad.
I could
if
see,
Kabam doesn't
I could see
change
chaos happening.
Because that's the bad thing, because AQ is mid-cycle now, and the update is dropping.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I hate when the update comes out in the middle of Alliance Quest. I'm reminding all my Alliance teammates to not update. Now, it may auto-update unless they turn that off, but tell them not to update until freaking Alliance Quest is over, because they'll be over on Wednesday, right?
This is day 3, I think.
We're about to be day 4, though.
Yeah, it's about to be day 4.
So day 5 will end on Wednesday. So as long as we finish the map before the update comes out, before the new event starts, then we should be good. Yeah. But yeah, that's cutting it close, which means the update will be out before then. It's either going to be out today or tomorrow.
Yep.
So I know Kabam doesn't think about these things. They really need to look at the competitive stuff before they look at anything. And
yeah, it's nice that they changed the Act 5 and Act 6, but they should have started with AQ. Should people wait to explore 6.5? I don't think that overall the difficulty level is going to change much in 615. Here's the thing: if you are a witty player, the fact that Bane doesn't have as much damage anymore associated with it actually might be a downfall, because I quite often like Bane because it actually increases my damage output if you manage it well. It's obviously much more dangerous, but that can help you. And okay, the Vigor buff is where the healing is a lot more minimal, but right now you have a lot more chance of heal blocking the guy with, let's say, Sentinel. But afterwards you can go in and you can have 90% chance for that heal block to be shrugged off. So I don't know. I generally don't know whether it's going to be harder after or it is harder now. I do think that most likely the difficulty level is going to be, let's say, relatively comparable. So I don't think I don't advise people to rush to do this content if they're not ready for it. But if they are ready for it and have been procrastinating, then you might as well go for it.
Yeah. 615 is still going to be the same. It's just one thing they're changing. So
yeah. And the fight ultimately is exactly the same with exactly the same requirements.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is also just about it. So we have gone for nearly an hour and a half here.
Yeah,
I want to thank nearly for an hour and a half. And
yeah, thanks everyone for being here early. Sorry about yesterday. That was completely on me. We will do them every Sunday. Yesterday was kind of a holiday for some, so I mean, I guess it kind of worked out. But
yeah. Anyway, so now I'm gonna finish the KT time. I'm gonna go grab some foodsies and wait for an update to hopefully make some cool videos for you.
I know you're gonna be making a ton of videos probably later today. Are we planning on doing an afternoon stream, or are we gonna skip today?
It entirely depends on what's happening in the afternoon and how quickly I get through that. I may or may not do a stream. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Well, there you go. And tomorrow at this, are we doing it 41 minutes before this time tomorrow? Are we doing the Abyss stream?
Probably. I'll make a post. On when I have final time decided.
Okay. So keep in mind, everybody, tomorrow we're doing the 34,000 celebration, 34,000 subscriber celebration, path 4, which is the final path for KT to re-explore the Abyss with his rank 3 champions. We may have a stream later today, or there may just be a ton of videos. Keep in mind, we'll update you on that. KT, thank you for having just a friggin' insane long KT time. We had an action-packed one today. I don't think
we had a ton of things to talk about. But I think it was quite interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Next week, well, actually this week, we'll hopefully going to be back on Sunday. All that being said, it's time
real quick. Yeah. Last thing before you do it. Anybody that's here and missed the beginning, I'm just going to break down what we talked about for the quick. We talked about a lot of the drama around MROC and MCOC, the 5 new champion breakdowns, the buffs plus the new champion, the Aunt May, Variant 7, which we don't have a date on for Variant 7 yet. Everybody keeps asking that. We didn't talk about that, but we don't have a date yet. Just know it's coming in April. Upcoming side event information, what we thought about it, new Cav drop rates, and the Crossbones in changes in maps and Alliance quests. So everybody can go back and watch it, but we'll see you later on other than that. And now KT can bring us out.
Yeah. All right. See you, folks. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the